Let's stay with water stories. The Tongaat community has reportedly asked the eThekwini municipality to replace Jojo tanks that were burnt during a service delivery protest. Now, this protest was over the water shortages. You'd remember how heavy hit this area was when it comes to the floods and how devastating the situation became. Now, some residents say the tanks as well had already, had some damage. But let's find out what exactly is going on here and speak to Tongaat Civic Association Chair Perumal. Don, thank you so much for your time this evening. What exactly happened? Why were the tanks burned?
Good evening. Thank you for having us on your channel. Look, I've seen this all over the news, all over the media, and one of the main issues that I think the media needs to set the record straight in terms of some of those tanks had already been collapsed, they had already been cracked, and they were merely used as a means to an end to basically intensify the crisis and the protest. I have basically apologized to the municipality and the relevant role players that maybe we should have notified the various sponsors of those tanks that they had been damaged initially. In a protest, not everything can be controlled. And look, residents did honestly use those tanks. We did apologize for that. I must say that the fruits bearing thereafter the protest, we're quite happy with what has transpired. So we're basically looking to move forward after this entire issue. So
I'm going to get to what it looks like when it comes to the moving forward in just a moment, and even at the back of the meeting that was to be held with the MEC as well as the mayor. But I know you say that, during a protest, things get out of hand, but were you able to speak to some of the residents about the rationale behind the burning of some of the tanks?
Look, at that time, yes, we did intervene as leadership. It was actually 3 tanks that were burnt, and when we did intervene, residents, you can look at this footage right here. You can see that this is already a collapsed tank. It was, and even in the area that I live, I've been asked or requested on numerous occasions to look at tanks that may have fallen over, completely destroyed. Some of them I managed to salvage, where I've cut them and made them into huge containers for cattle feed and stuff like that. Some containers or some tanks had been repaired with definitely a justification. But in this instance, I can clearly state that these tanks were damaged. I was present. I was at the front line. And once we approached the residents, they had agreed not to bring any more tanks or to stop any further burning in terms of trying to get the attention of the municipality.
And reading what the councillor has said, I mean, he says that it'll be difficult to then repair or even replace some of these tanks. Does the community understand the difficult situation it has placed itself in?
Look, the community understands the difficulty of the situation, justifiably as well. The community have tanks that have been placed within the Hambanati area, and not just the Hambanati area, in various other sectors. I live in a ward where there's 230 some odd Jojos, and I am busy on various WhatsApp platforms where constantly residents are asking municipality to fill these Jojos. I mean, if you look at, or if you speak to residents on the floor in Hambanati, they would tell you Jojo tank 7 to 8 days. People will be sitting at those tanks and they have not been filled. So the rationale or the mentality behind it is, yes, we have the tanks here, but of what purpose is it when tanks are remaining empty for up to 7 to 8 days? I cannot justify the burning. I definitely condone it, although they were damaged tanks. But obviously we are looking at moving forward from this aspect.
Especially because, I mean, it'll cost more to have to now replace and to have to bring water as well. So it really, it boggles the mind. But let's talk about that meeting, that you would have had as a resident with the MEC, Sihle Zikalala, as well as the mayor, to try and forge ahead and to be able to move forward here. What happens now with the provision of water?
Look, one of the outcomes or the significant outcomes is the consistent supply of water tanks. I think the municipality has now increased it to 26 tanks coming into the areas, 12 of which is into the Ward 62, 9 of it is coming into Ward 61, 5 of it is coming into Ward 58. We wanted some transparency in terms of where these tankers are going. One of the interventions that the mayor, the deputy mayor, PG Mabunjla, as well as the MEC has put into place is we're now on a WhatsApp platform where councillors have now been pressured into basically stating to us on a daily basis where exactly all of these tanks are going to. One of the major setbacks, I know today of the 26, 5 of those tankers had come in and had been sitting at a filling station waiting to be filled the entire day. In fact, it's been there from yesterday, and the deputy mayor has now mandated eThekwini Water Services to get the situation under control, remove these tanker companies if they have to, and reinstate with more efficient and more effective tanker delivery services.
So these plans are all good and well as they're being put in place, but what assurances do officials have, and some of the residents that didn't take part in the torching of these tanks, that they will see no further damage to this infrastructure here, which then puts them in a very difficult position?
I see there seems to be some stress on the fact that the municipality had provided those tankers. I live in a ward which is called Ward 61. There's 230 Jojo tanks in my entire area, of which 15 was sponsored by the municipality. The balance has been basically the civilian component. Various NGOs, NPOs have come to the aid of Tongaat, and they have actually stepped up the game. Even in the areas or in the aspects of where, as of an hour ago, I noticed councillors are, a particular councillor basically has been interfering with the private sector in terms of delivering water. She has basically asked them not to fill at a filling point in Tongaat. It's become a bit of a sensitive area where mostly municipal tankers have been mandated to fill at that point, justifiably. The main issue that we have is since the April floods, we've had a huge civilian component being the various Vengpak, Katawa Fuel, Shula Construction, Al Namoa Stationers, Tomco, and various other non-civil or basically civilian aspect that has been delivering free water in areas where the municipality has failed to do so. So we feel that is a little bit unjustified right now that with the increase of water tankers, they're now restricting the private companies from distributing free water into Tongaat.
And you know what you're describing right now, Don, if it is indeed the case on the ground, that is another ticking time bomb, you know, because people are desperate for water. So, but let's leave it there for now and see what happens on the ground, because you talk about these allegations of interference, which are quite serious, looking at how people are really desperate on the ground. I mean, that was Tongaat Civic Association Chair, Don Perumal, really just painting a picture for us of the difficulties around water supply since we saw the floods in KwaZulu-Natal.